Get my camera on. There we go.
Oh,
Hi.
there she is. Hi.
Hello. Didn't realize I didn't have it on.
That's all right. Hey, Liz.
Hi, I'm excited for this conversation.
Are you?
hmm this whole discussion has been just really surprising and fun.
Okay, good, good. So we're talking about the conversation about intimacy and some quizzes we talked about last time. And I know that we were talking about looking at what our partners might result in with the quiz. I don't know what everyone's done since last time. So I did have Mike take the quiz, and I can talk about that in a little bit, but I'd love to know, what have you both done?
Hey, you go first.
So I had Tom take the quiz, and it was funny because I put my laptop in front of him and I was like, here, take this. He was like, what? Okay, fine. I got a lot of commentary during the taking of the quiz in the sense of like, well, none of those apply. Well, like there was a lot of commentary there. And then finally he ended up with sensual.
Okay.
And we started watching the video because we took it and then immediately started talking about it. I didn't watch the video.
Uh-huh.
And so he started watching the video and he's like, this woman's weird. I don't like this at all. She's like trying to be sexy. So once we got past that, we sped up the videos. It was much faster because it was a 9-minute video. We talked just a little bit about like what sensual meant to him, just the slightest. And then we went and had dinner.
Okay.
Very much like, and we're done with that conversation.
Okay. All right. What about you, Liz?
So basically I took the quiz for him because he was busy putting together a bed for our youngest. And so
Well, wait a second. At first, you were afraid it would pop up at work and he'd be taking it at work. So
yes,
that didn't
no,
happen.
no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
He didn't, yeah, he came home and immediately started putting a bed together. So he didn't take it, so I just took it for him.
Okay.
And I think that he is also a sensual person, which was really surprising to me. And really what this prompted was more a discussion about how we are in this space of life, or we have been, right? We've been in the sandwich between kids and parents. But now with my mom passing, we have theoretically more time, and yet we have not dedicated any more time to one another or to anything about like that is about us being romantic together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the real aha moment for us. We haven't been going on dates. We haven't been, even when we call it date night, it's basically ordering takeout and sitting watching, like lately we've been watching Jack Ryan, which we don't even like. So there's just like what we acknowledged is that we have a lack of intimacy right now. And what are we going to do about that? And I don't know about you guys, but that I had to get through like a shame meadow first before I could really even talk about like what would we want to start doing. So anyway, I don't know how to like how does that land for you guys when I say that?
Yeah. I'll just say it hits home for me. I talked last time about I'm sensual, and I had Mike take the quiz when we were having a weekend a few weekends ago alone. And it's funny, as a coach, you have all these assessments, and I love this stuff. And I always try stuff on him, take this assessment, take this assessment. He's always just rolling his eyes. On this one, I said, why don't you take this quiz about sex and intimacy? And he's like, okay, cool. And so it was my phone, and he took it, and then I thought maybe I shouldn't know it. Maybe this is too private. I'm like, you can take it. And he's like, no, it's fine. He's energetic, which surprised me. You two mentioned last time you're sexual, right? both of you. I assumed that's what he was. And to find that he's energetic, and then just to start to learn more about that, which I have a whole lot more to learn about all of it, was helpful. We are getting ready to be empty nesters next year, and that's top of mind. Our youngest just started her senior year of high school this week. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's good to know this, because energetic means he anticipates. And it started to answer a lot of questions for me. We have dated since I was 16. We will have been married for 30 years next year. We went to high school together, have never broken up. And all this time, I would like talk about what we were going to do in the weekend or and the night. And then when I would come home and it would be too tired, he would be just so sad. And I thought he was just selfish. I thought he just wanted to get to it. And the truth is, when you're energetic, you're anticipating all day or all week, and you just sense the energy. And so he would sense my energy in the morning, and it would be totally different at night or at the end of the week. So just knowing that has really helped me just in the last few weeks. I'm working on myself, working on paying attention to all 5 senses, thinking about how to use the senses in daily life and in my intimacy with him. But now I'm also picking up on, how am I giving him cues to tee up his expectations or anticipation, maybe inappropriately at times. How can I avoid some of the disappointment and cold shoulder stuff that has been going on forever? So I'm just tip of the iceberg too, Liz. We haven't explored much yet, but I can see the benefit for sure.
Oh gosh, you're
It makes
making me, you're like, yeah, it's like, right, you're sending that, right, it's hitting me right in the heart right now. What were you gonna say, Kate?
it makes a lot of sense that like it's almost foreshadowing for him. And then he's like, wait, you promised me by
Right.
your you promised me by your like indication.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm super disappointed because I was all like revved
Uh-huh.
up. And you're like, whoa, like it's been a rough week. And you're like, no, but in the morning, you indicated.
When you started your day, and Mike is the nicest person in the world, but then when I would come home at night and my life had shifted, and he would be back on, what we were thinking about at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd be like, what the hell? Do you not understand? I had this and this and this and this and no, he understood that, but frankly didn't care. He wanted to know he was still a priority in my life.
Yeah. So we are empty nesters. Sorry, my allergies are driving me crazy. So you're going to see me rub my nose a lot. But we are empty nesters. And because Tom's divorced, we had a situation where we had the kids every other week. And what is so lovely about that, as an adult in that situation, not necessarily as a child in that situation, but as an adult in that situation, we would double down on the kids during the week that we had them, and then they would go away and we would double down on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was ever a society that thought to themselves, like, what's the best thing for adults and children, like that would be it, where you would share kids and the kids would come and then they would be, appropriately parented with the focus and attention and love and whatever during all the time, because they would have parents that connected with each other on the off weeks. So we had that situation. And then because we have triplets, it went from like there was a house full of people to nobody.
Talk about whiplash.
Yeah. And so we had been kind of gearing up for it for about 4 or 5 years before they went to college. But then like the complete and total absence when they went off was crazy for us. So and then my mother came probably a year after that. And so we were kind of in that situation where it was the summer, or, you know, spring into summer. And the kids were coming back from college and blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of in that weird, like, sandwichy style. But my mother actually suggested during when she was living with us and dying, she was like, you guys need a date night. It can't be all about taking care of me. Which is so lovely, so kind and generous to give us that. So once a week we would walk down to, you know, we lived in Portland, and we would walk down and do the oyster bar for just a little bit, like an hour, hour and a half, have a glass of wine, eat oysters, whatever else they had, and look at each other and connect and whatnot. And then now, since our kids are so adult, they all have savings, and most of them are saving for retirement. It's crazy. We have different conversations now. We've focused on a monthly date night. We've focused on, we get massages together, not as couples massages, but we get massages together. And we periodically talk about what it would look like if it was, you know, is it enough? Is it satisfying? Is it, and that was something that, as I entered into this relationship and after my last divorce, I was like, it's really important to me to be able to talk about sex in a non-shameful way, to not have the guilt of, you know, all the weird emotions that happen around sex. Because in my last relationship, I so didn't have that. I wasn't able to say that I wanted it and then result in having it. And I wasn't able to not say that I wanted it and result in having it, because it wasn't happening. So, like, as I went into this relationship, I told Tom right away when we started dating, like, it's really important to me to be able to talk about sex, and intimacy, like, in a frank and loving and open manner. So having that premise, like, that's the benefit of starting over a couple of times. You're like, oh, I learned from that one. Let me see what I can carve out on this one. But having that premise, like, we often will have the conversation. What I have as I grow older, I will say, and I think it's as a result of being able to converse, but it's important to have, in order to have a healthy sex life, in order to make it show that it is, couching my words, it's important that one is able to gain pleasure. And as one gets older, sometimes the juices don't flow as well. And this kind man that I am married to introduced lube into our relationship with no, like, conversation about it. No, like, there was no, you know how it's like, it can be really jabby. It can be really like an affront of, like, oh, you're not desiring me enough, and therefore we need this, and blah, blah. Like, none of that. He was just like, doop. Like, it showed up one day, and there was no accusation about it. And I think being able to talk about it and have that in your heart, like, as you love someone and are intimate with them, and I'm gonna get emotional, but just having that ability to have that, like, that one-mindedness, it showed up without any pretext of, like, this is just where we're at now.
Yeah. You know what both of you are making me think about, as I'm like, I know our time's coming to a close, but whatever has been the past, whatever, like, the relationship identity, our sexual identities, it informs our future, but we don't have to stay in a place that isn't meeting our needs or isn't meeting our partner's needs. And that's how this conversation is inspiring me to, like, re-show up in the relationship with open-mindedness and with creating time with and trying to question the voices that come into my head of either being annoyed, because that's like, yes, that's me sometimes at night, is just the annoyed one, or feeling shame. But to just try to create space for the relationship to continue to evolve.
Mhm.
Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And this really is about intimacy, not just
Mhm.
sex. This isn't a sex talk. And
Mhm.
Kate, I appreciate you bringing up some of those points because yes, Mike was like, yeah, I'm all in on taking this. But then it was, oh, wait a second. We've never really talked about this stuff before. Is there something wrong? Like,
Yeah.
no. I just want to do something new, which is all true. But I thought, yeah, it shouldn't be perceived as something's wrong or something's weird that we're now having these conversations. It should be a normal course of our days and weeks to talk more deeply rather
Yeah.
than all the to-dos and where we have to go and what's next and the kids and the stuff. So yeah, it does get to that emotion pretty quickly because it's uncharted for many of us, especially as women.
Yep.
Yeah. It's another facet of our identities evolving
Mhm.
as humans and trying to evolve together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
trying to see it as a source of empowerment. I mean, I'm empowered knowing more about me and how I tick and what I like and getting the courage to talk about this with him, which is funny that it took courage. Certainly to talk about this more publicly, for goodness sakes. But I'm also trying to think of it as, this is play. This is play. This is a source of creativity and fun and just take it lightly, play with it a little bit and see what happens. See
I
where
love
it
it.
goes.
Going back to its play, it's also mood boosting. It's also
Mhm.
connection. It's also healthy. It's part of being healthy.
Mhm.
If we're all into taking care of ourselves and impeccably caring for ourselves, this is a part of it.
Mhm.
Mhm. And if emotions are in the body, then we need to get out of our heads and do more with our body and be present in these moments with our clothes on or off. It's just an interesting view that I think I've added.
Amen. Speaking of taking care of ourselves, I have to go to my yoga class now.
All right.
Okay, so where we go. Do we want to do anything else with this? Do we want to dig in more next time, or do we want a different topic next time?
Well, I'm enjoying this conversation, but I also am curious to talk about, speaking of identities continuing to evolve, becoming a student again,
Okay.
like kind of starting over. And I think there's parallels too with
Mhm.
us becoming coaches and, us leaving companies. But it's that like putting yourself back in student mode and what that feels like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially this time of year.
Yeah.
It is the time of year to talk
It
about
is
it. I
the
didn't
time of
think of that.
year. All right, we'll talk about more transitions, becoming students, even as adults, whatever the age next time, and whatever else we want to talk about.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
great.
Thank you.
Bye,
Good to see
instigators.
you. Bye, instigator.